You're listening to the Debugging Dan podcast. Join me on my morning walk. My topic for today is streaming, and specifically streaming coding on Twitch or YouTube live stream. So when I started this podcast more than 2 years ago, one of the other goals or things that I wanted to do was also do some live streaming. I'll do some coding on my side projects, stream that, have some interaction via chat with viewers or things like that. I never did that because of time constraints and other things, but I did do some screen recordings, which I then posted on YouTube. I gave them a soundtrack, more of a cozy vibe background thingy, which was fun to do. It never really caught on, and at some point my interest waned. It took too much time, and I did some other things. But the other day I was thinking, how does streaming and live streaming of coding, how does that work currently? So I haven't really watched some coding streams recently, but in the days I used to watch Kitze, if you know him. Sometimes he doesn't stream anymore, but he did some live streams while coding. But eventually he stopped doing it because he was started doing agentic coding, and he didn't want to share the prompts that he was using because he figured that's very proprietary. I don't want other people to be able to build what I build just by copying my prompts. So how would that work now? So in my work, when I do coding, I do not touch code a lot. I send out a message where I write a prompt. I make a plan. Yeah, I works on it. I check back later while I do something else. And then I tell it to change the plan or to implement it. And then it goes off, I review it, and the feature is done. But on stream, how would it work, regardless of the fact that you might want to keep your workflow secret for some reason, like Kitze did? I think it's pretty boring content. So what you could do is you could make a new plan while the other plan is implementing, for example. But there's a lot of downtime between implementations. There's not much to see. The only interesting thing maybe is when somebody is then testing what has been implemented, clicking through it, and doing voiceovers. So I'm curious what you think. One of the kind of solutions for that that I was thinking about is to have some kind of game or interaction in between. So when you're waiting for the agent to complete or doing something, you could somehow fire up a game as the streamer, something very simple that your chat could also join. So you could have some fun gaming thing in between during the downtime while you're having interaction with the chat via the game, but also by chatting, of course. That's one of the things I was thinking about. And for me, I don't think live streaming coding is in the books. It takes too much time. I'm not really doing side projects. But other people, I'm wondering what they think and what they do. And it might have been wise if I did some research in advance, but this is an idea that popped up, and I'm curious how that's going to evolve, how's that going to change. And it might be a niche thing that not a lot of people were even watching coding, but I always enjoyed having it in the background, having some interaction, seeing how other people do things. So that's what I was thinking about. As some of you might have seen or heard in an earlier episode, if they watched it or heard it, that I use AI to do some kind of interview style input. So what I just recorded. I sent it to AI, and it came with some remarks. And one of the things that it did, that it said, I think was interesting. So I mentioned chat-driven mini games, but a suggestion that it also gave was also doing viewer voting on next steps, which I find interesting. So the viewers help or not help, depending on the type of viewer that you have, setting a direction. And you could, of course, that's something I didn't really realize, you could even still switch between manual and agent work. So agent work is not 100% correct all the time. It doesn't get it perfect. So you still need to do some manual work in between. So if you plan your stream, you could have it build new features while you clean up some of the irritations or incorrectness that you see. So I think that's a good suggestion to do. And as I'm recording this, I'm getting interested in doing it, but mostly in building such an interactive feature. So have a QR code on the screen as a streamer, for example, and having your viewers join for mini games, votes, things like that. The question that it had is, what do you want viewers to see? Do you want them to see planning, the execution, the review, or the testing? And I guess the question is there, indeed, those are the elements, but does it really make sense to give them the same attention? So for example, if it takes 10 minutes from start to end, do you then use, well, as I'm saying this, it doesn't make sense. I was thinking, do you divide them up into like 2.5 minutes for each segment of the implementation, but you're depending on the agent speed to do the implementation, and you cannot control how long that takes. So I think the preparation work is often where the most active human time is. The implementation then is waiting on the agent, and depending on the size of the feature, you can wait to have it done or do something else. And then the reviewing or the testing part takes more time. So I guess the question is, what do you want to highlight more? What do you want to have more present in your stream? And what should be moved more to the background? And a third question that it had was, or suggestion, is if you don't want to reveal your prompts or your strategies, what could you then do to hide it? And I think that's a direct direction to that. I mentioned that Kitze didn't want to do that. I don't think that's really gonna work, because then you need to do that thing off screen, and you need to give some kind of digest of what you've been doing or what you are doing on stream. There are even people that are doing coding by voice, so they use a voice to text to write their prompts. So I think having the prompts and things, your workflow, if you're working on an open source project, I don't think that's really going to be a problem, because everything is out in the open, your skills, your things. And if you give it more of a learning angle or a teaching angle, that might even appeal to a bigger audience of people that maybe are already doing AI coding or vibe coding without limited technical experience, that maybe can learn from how you are doing things. I like that, and I like that angle. I like to teach and to show other people how I do things, at least. So maybe others can learn from that. And voicing this out loud has really got me to think on the topic. It made me go deeper. So that's exactly the goal for the podcast. It's partially for me thinking about these things, voicing them out loud. And for me, it's an added bonus if other people enjoy listening to it and gain something from it. And I always like to end with, let me know what you think. You can find me on Blue Sky If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment. Podcast itself is on Spotify, Apple Podcast. Reach out there, reach out on Blue Sky. Let me know what you think. And that's it. Have a nice day. Bye.